what do they say? You saved the best for last, and we certainly did. It is the 66th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show, IndySportsShow.com. You can check it out on Facebook Live. Obviously, when we do this, it stays here forever. Just remember that. All the great stuff that we've done here, it is our great privilege to be here and a great crowd this afternoon in the Travel Cafe. Doesn't hurt matters that we got the Stellar Artois RV over here, great host cocktails, great food. A lot of folks have been sitting here for a while to see my next guest. We're going to jump right into this. You throw names out like Parker, and you throw names like Martin, Dance. You're right up there. You're one of the legends, Mr. Jimmy Houston. It's my thrill to have you sitting here with me.
Hey, it's good to be here. You know, of course, you're talking about those old guys. There's what you're talking about in that.
Well, see, I knew you were going to be wearing your sunglasses, so I had to put my sunglasses on.
All right,
just for this moment right
I
here.
love them. They look cool.
Oh my, you look much better now.
Where are your socks?
I don't need socks. I'm lucky I'm not wearing shorts.
I'm just going to say.
What do you got on?
Oh, I got socks on. You're supposed to wear socks.
You guys from Oklahoma. We are so happy to have him here, and legendary doesn't even do him justice. We could throw a lot of adjectives out there, but you and I have had a chance to chat a couple times here in the last 2 weeks. Your last 14 days have been nuts. How in the world do you do it at such a spry young age?
Yeah, we've been running around a lot. You know, it's that time of the year. February is one of those months that February is not a great month when God only put 28 days in it.
Yep.
He give you a little extra day, so everybody got an extra day to their life this month. You ever think about that? You have 29 days this month, so that means if you have not had your birthday yet, you have one more day in your birthday this year. If you've already had it, like you had it in January or February up till now, then you have an extra day in next year's birthday before you turn age. So you got a free day.
Well, in March you get more days to fish too.
You got 31 days in March. It's a good month, but yeah, this is the month that we go to shows. I've been in the Denver International Show, Tractor Supply Show in Nashville, Mid-State Show in Phoenix, Omaha, Harrisburg. Finally got to come to Indianapolis. Been a while since I've been here.
I know, and it's dang glad to have you here.
Good to be here.
You get to relax for a few minutes.
I love this.
You just got off stage.
You're the man.
Some of these folks have been sitting here for literally almost an hour, getting their cocktails, getting their place because they wanted to come and see you. And that's a real testimony to your long legacy and what you've been doing for fishing. Do these glasses just make me look cooler?
No, they do make you look cool. Look at that, man. I mean,
you can't put enough lipstick on this pig.
You're awesome, man. I'm telling you, that looks
so you just got off the hog trough. It's good to have you. When was the last time you were on the hog trough?
Well, you know, it's been a long time since I've been here in Indianapolis. I worked this show several times, but I don't know. I bet I haven't been here in 10, 15 years.
So you were talking about pitching and flipping. What were you talking about?
Both, but mostly pitching, but both pitching and flipping.
And then
I never did hook anybody. That was pretty good.
And you didn't fall off.
I did hook one guy's hat.
You probably did.
Barely. Well, I did it on purpose.
You probably did that on purpose.
I did. I landed a spinnerbait on the bill of his hat and happened to stick just a little bit. He didn't move either. I mean, he didn't move. He just sat there.
So you're going to be up on stage, and your topic at 6 o'clock, making great decisions on the water. What could you possibly teach them about making great decisions? Because that's all you do. Make great decisions.
You know, bass fishing is a decision-making game. I mean, that's the deal. It's a decision-making game. And that's why guys like to do it so much, because they go out there and go bass fishing. They can make decisions all day long. Especially married guys. They don't get to make any other decisions. So they go fishing, they get to make, you know, like, I mean, I know probably like at your house, you know, your wife lets you make, you know, some major decisions like what we ought to do about the federal deficit, budget deficit, things like what we ought to do about climate change. But she makes all the small decisions like what kind of car you drive, the house you live in, what your meals you're going to have, where the kids are going to go to school. She makes all those small decisions.
Yeah.
But you get to make the big ones.
But when you're up on the trough, you're going to be teaching folks, and that's why we love to have you here at the Boat Sport and Travel Show, no matter how long it's been over in Tackletown. You draw a big crowd. 43 years you've been doing this. One a great legacy. You told me recently you do over 500 YouTube videos a year. How do you keep that energy?
Yeah, you know, our YouTube channel, we just started about a year ago, and it's a small channel. Actually, we've only got 37,000 subscribers on it in a year. But we do 500 videos a year, over 500 for YouTube. We do a daily devotional every single day. We put out a new video on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I also started 2 Mondays ago putting our 2020 television shows, the Jimmy Houston Outdoors television series, on YouTube every Monday night. So the entire series in 26 weeks, the entire Jimmy Houston Outdoors series for 2020, which is our 43rd year, will be on our YouTube channel. So it's a great way to watch Jimmy Houston Outdoors. I mean, we're on the Discovery Channel and CBS Sports and Pursuit Network, Heartland, WFN, a lot of networks, but you can watch it right on your phone right there on YouTube now. That's pretty cool, really, when you think about it.
It is. It's the nature of the way things have gone, and you've adopted well. You brought it up, and you talk about your daily devotional. You've written several books, but Catch of the Day, I know your faith is really important. You lead with it, you teach through it, and you bring people not only fishing, but you bring a great message. That has to mean something to you.
Well, the Catch of the Day, of course, that book we wrote, I think, back in 2012. Which is quite a while ago, and we've been posting that up on our Facebook for the last couple of years, and we got close to 300,000 people on our Facebook, and we have about 40,000 people a day read that. But we started actually reading that in a video on YouTube, and we embellish parts of it. Like we might talk a little bit more about the scripture, we might talk a little bit more about that day's devotion, or we might talk a little bit more about the fishing tip. So you get a scripture, a devotion, and a fishing tip for every day. So at the end of the year, you know a lot more about God's Word, and you know a lot more scripture. You've heard a lot of great devotions tied around fishing, and you become a better fisherman at the same time.
That sounds like a package deal.
It's pretty neat.
You know, you are the second most famous person from Moore, Oklahoma. Anybody else who knows who's the most famous person from Moore, Oklahoma besides him?
Moore, Oklahoma. Toby Keith.
Toby Keith. Tell him
that
the story.
proves how famous he is. I was hoping nobody knew, and I could go back and tell Toby. Let me tell you
over his name, didn't you?
Yeah, let me tell you, in Indiana, they don't know who you are, dude. But no, Toby and I both went to Moore High School. Toby's 20 years younger than I did, so we obviously did not go to high school together. We run around together, we bass fish together, and bird hunt, turkey hunt together, and we have a lot of fun. But I like to invite Toby on fishing trips, like to Mexico or to Florida or to Cancun, because every time I invite Toby on a fishing trip, the first thing he says is, he said, well, cool. He said, we'll take my jet. And I said, well, that's good, Toby, because mine's in the shop. And it's great, you know, if you're going to take somebody fishing with you, take somebody that owns a jet airplane. That's the way to do it.
And a bunch of Red Solo cups.
That's it. You know, we won a video of the year with Red Solo Cup. I was in that video, Red Solo Cup video. And Toby called me after he won the video of the year in country music. And he said, Jimmy, he said, we won the video of the year with Red Solo Cup video. And I said, wow. I said, that's fantastic. Do I get a trophy? And he said, well, yeah, they gave me a trophy, but I've got a present for you. I want to give you a present because we won that. He said, you want me to ship it to the office or ship it down to the ranch? I said, well, send me my present to the ranch. And I got excited about it because I thought I'd get one of them little man or something that says video of the year. And my wife told me, he said, he's probably going to send you a case of Red Solo Cups. And that would be okay because everybody can use a case of Red Solo Cups. And but about 3 or 4 days later, I got delivered by FedEx a Takamine stage guitar. You play guitar, Takamini's like, that's what Toby Keith uses, and Luke Bryan, and these cats, you know, they use a Takamine, and he sent me a Takamine stage guitar, and that's better than a case of Red Solo Cups.
You got the better end of that deal.
Pretty nice gift. And all I did in the video, I mean, I know y'all saw the video of Toby Keith, and all I did in the video was I made a cast out there with a spinnerbait, and I got a bite, and the fish jumped, and when I wound it in, I had a Red Solo Cup on my spinnerbait. That's all I did. But it was probably the best part of the whole video.
Dude, you hang around with a lot cooler cats than I do, and that because you already mentioned your wife, Chris. how in the world do you do this? And I know that you give a lot of respect for the work that she's done, but all these years on TV and traveling and the schedule you keep, you talk about her in your YouTube videos. How do you mesh all that together?
Well, we work really hard. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, we're called the hardest working fishermen in the business. I don't know if that's true or not, but we work really hard at this game, Brian. We, you know, just like the last, 12 or 13 days, I still got 5 days left on this trip, but we do 26 television shows for Jimmy Houston Outdoors, 13 for Jimmy Houston Adventures. I do 100 personal appearances. I speak at 15 or 20 churches a year. We just simply put in a lot of hours. I mean, some of the people on our YouTube channel, when we answer comments, and I read every comment that comes in, we have hundreds of comments every day on YouTube. I answer with a personal answer about 70 or 80% of those. That's getting more difficult to do, but we answer a lot of those. And somebody said, "You never sleep." And really, I don't, but I've perfected. Sleep is highly overrated.
Well, you've already been up since 2:30 this morning.
Yeah, and listen, that's not a good deal though, because I've got this belief that if you're going to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you better be catching something, killing something, or making love. I mean, that's the only 3 reasons to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. If you're doing something else like catching an airplane, you should have done that. But I did that. I've done that 2 out of the last 3 days, as a matter of fact. But
we're not going to guess which one of those. Kissing the fish.
You know, I told Brian that one time, and he told me, he said, that's pretty wild. He said, one time I was making love and I caught something, now I'm trying to kill it.
I signed up for this. I signed up for
He told me that whatever happens here stays here, Yeah. Toby wrote a Keith, whatever happens.
It's only on Facebook forever.
There you go. Toby wrote a song, whatever happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. Yeah. You told me whatever happens here stays here.
That's the truth. Kissing the fish, Jimmy style. Where'd that start? There's a hashtag for that, right?
Yeah, there is, and we've got the whole world kissing fish. I don't really know where that started. I think that back in the early
Probably
days
with a red Solo cup.
Well, yeah, maybe do. But we would wear these microphones, and they were hardwired to a recorder. We didn't have wireless microphones like we have now, and you would drag that cord around all day long in a boat, and I hated it. It'd get wrapped around the boat seats, and I would break it, and the camera guys would get on to me and everything, and we are so happy to finally get a show done. We shoot everything live. Fishing Show is the original reality show. We don't ever hook on a fish or stage anything. And I was probably so happy of catching the last fish and doing a close on the show that I could take that microphone off. Either that, or it could have started in tournaments where, in a tournament where you need one nice fish to have a chance to win, or one nice fish to have a chance to get in the money in the tournament, and you catch that fish and so excited that you just give it a kiss. A lot of times you get excited in various situations and you kiss things you would not normally kiss. and that's probably what happened on that bass. But listen, we get pictures from all over the world of people kissing fish. I got a picture 3 or 4 years ago from Vladimir Putin kissing a fish. Really. Now, I want to just say right now that I do not know Vladimir Putin. I've never colluded with Vladimir Putin. In no way did I tell him that he ought to vote for Trump. So I just want to clear that up right now. It's just, I don't know what caused him to kiss that fish.
Well,
I don't know
who knows what he does over there. But obviously, you just did it right there. That laugh is infectious, and you have affected an awful lot of people with your good humor, your good style. You always put your integrity first. You put your profession first. You put your sport first, and that has gone a long way for you. Is this still fun?
Well, it is still fun, and one of the things that I try to do in everything I do, whether it's fishing or working or playing or whatever I'm doing, is I put God first in my life. And I think that anytime when you put God first in your life, everything else is going to fall into place. It doesn't mean everything's going to be great and rosy every day. You're obviously not going to win every tournament. I certainly proved that hundreds of times. But when you put God first in your life, things will happen correctly in your life. They really will. And in everything that you do, and because God does want to get involved. I mean, that's all there is to it. And we don't take the game of fishing very seriously. To us, it's a fun game, even the tournaments. They're fun. We're competing hard. We're trying to win money, but we're still having a good time and having fun. And you talk about the laughing, and we do laugh a lot when we're fishing because we're having a good time. But the funny thing about that laugh, back 43 years ago when we started our television show, we hired a production company in Tulsa, Oklahoma to shoot a pilot show that we could take out to sponsors and try to get them to spend money and advertise on, so we could have a fishing show, Jimmy Houston Outdoors. And so we shot this pilot show, and we had a lot of fun. We caught a lot of fish, and we were walking down the hallway of this big production company in Tulsa, and they were editing my show about 3 or 4 studios down. And those guys, and you know, when they're editing stuff, the guys like to turn the audio up real loud, like they blare it. They're listening for little things that's wrong, is what they say. I think they're just all hard of hearing. But they got the audio way up real high. And as we was walking down the hallway, and I was laughing on that show, and I was having a good time. And I mean, just having fun. And my wife, she stopped me, and she said, "Jimmy, you got to change the way you laugh." And I said, "It's the way I laugh." She said, "They will kick you off."
Of all things she could have picked, she picked your laugh?
That she said, "They will kick you off television the first week." And so 43 years later, she's still wrong.
I know.
That's one of the few things. I'm still married to my first wife. That's my first wife, by the way. And
I love it.
I feel a little slighted because I got a lot of buddies that's had 3 or 4 of them, and I just got one. But, you know, I've got a lot of toys that I can afford that they can't. Also, because, you know, there's a lot of similarities in a fish and women. Do you know that?
Uh-oh.
I mean, they're difficult.
Earmuffs.
They're difficult to figure out. They're very unpredictable. You know, just like a bass, you can't always do the right things to make them happy. And bass you're trying to make bite. But there is one major difference in a bass and a woman. With a bass, it's a lot easier to throw it back and get you another one.
We're going to switch gears because there's been a lot of changes in the world of bass fishing, certainly in your past 43 years. A lot of changes in the circuits, new circuits, young circuits, college, high school. Everybody's got a new series going on right now. But I want to talk to you about some of the legends. I mentioned some names, but we had a passing of Forrest Wood this year. What did that mean? What was he like to you?
Well, Forrest was a great friend. I started fishing Ranger boats in the fall of 1968, which is the year they started. I actually fished my first BASS tournament. I'd been fishing tournaments for a couple of years. The 1968 BASS tournament, Eufaula, Alabama. It was either the second or third tournament Bass had ever had. I'd been fishing American Angler and Project Sports and some other organizations that came along before Bass. And I started fishing tournaments when I was a senior in college. And I met Forrest and Nina Wood at that tournament. And I was just a 22-year-old kid. And as luck would have it, I was leading the tournament the first day. I caught 11 bass. We had a 15 bass limit back in those days. I caught 11 bass that weighed 52 pounds and 8 ounces. I had an 810, an 814, and a 9.3 on the same stringer. And because I was leading the tournament, Forrest Wood came and introduced himself to me and started visiting with me. He probably wouldn't have ever known who I was had I not done that. So that was an arrangement that God had set up for Forrest Wood and I to meet, and we became very, very, very close friends over the years, our families, and not just Forrest and I, but our families and everything. And he actually talked me into buying a Ranger boat. And I told him they're too big. They were like 60 inches wide, which is a little bitty boat nowadays. I said, they're too big. I can't get around the brush. They're going to be hard to fish out of. But Forrest talked me into buying a Ranger boat. And I bought a Ranger boat after that tournament. I bought it in the fall of 68, a 69 model. And I've been running them ever since. And Forrest, I've never, in all of that time, asked Forrest to do something to help me personally in tournament fishing, doing a television show where he was a guest, something that we needed on our television show. I never asked him a single thing, but what he didn't just kind of look at me and say, well, Jimmy, I think we can do that. And that was sort of his standard answer, and it didn't matter. And so I wouldn't ask Forrest for something unless it was something I really needed that was important in our career, because I knew Forrest was going to say, well, Jimmy, I believe we can do that. So losing Forrest was like losing a piece of my soul. A great, great friend. Forrest is 87 years old. I mean, we knew, obviously, you get up to 87. And Forrest passed away actually in mid-sentence. He was sitting on a couch like we're doing here, talking to Nina, and just passed out in mid-sentence. So he obviously never felt a twinge of pain or anything. He still lived 3 or 4 days after that. When Chris called me, I think that was on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, he never regained consciousness, and he actually died with the family around him early on a Saturday morning, 3 or 4 days later. Chris called me, Randy called her and told her that morning. She called me, I was working for O'Reilly Auto Parts at their big leadership conference. Told me, she said, well, Forrest passed away just a few minutes ago. And the first thought that crossed my mind, a man like that, the kind of man Forrest was, deserves to die the way that he died. Sitting there talking to his wife in mid-sentence. And he goes from looking into the eyes of his wife into looking into the eyes of Jesus.
So let's talk about this.
He earned that.
From your perspective, how do you want to be remembered?
You know, I think that probably the most important thing I'd like to people remember about me was that, you know, I did everything with integrity. I put God first in my life, and I put my family next. And everything else fell into place.
You know,
and I'm not dead yet.
I know. You're a spring chicken compared to Forrest.
Well, you know, a few years difference. But, you know, the amazing thing is we've got some of the biggest people in the industry are still here with us right now. People like Ray Scott. Basically, the exact same age of Forrest. Roland Martin, who is working the Omaha show today, he flew in there last night, and I left early this morning. Roland will turn 80 this year. Bill Dance will turn 80 this year. But we still got a lot of the great legends that made this game what it is with us now. And most of them are out there still doing things. Roland's working the Omaha Boat Show right now while I'm here. Bill Dance will be at the Bassmaster Classic in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. Bill doesn't get out and work like the rest of us did, but he never did. Bill would never work. I mean, he's not working because he's 80 years old. He's not working because he's lazy. Yeah.
Remember, what stays here, what happens here stays here.
He knows he's lazy.
I love it. I love it. So you talk a lot about Providence. You talk a lot about
fishing with Bill Dance and Roland Martin's like fishing with 2 old ladies. No offense to old ladies. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, you're good. You talk about Providence a lot. You talk about faith. But I got to ask you, do you have any superstitions when you fish?
You know, I don't really know that I do have any superstitions when I
funky
fish.
Socks, no.
But I wear funky socks. Those are O'Reilly Auto Parts socks right there. But
always the brand.
I'm going to wear my socks tomorrow. That's got my deer on it, Lucy. My deer. I own the most famous deer on YouTube in the world. Her name's Lucy. Everywhere I go, people don't go, "How you doing, Jimmy? You're looking good, pal. You catching any fish?" They say, "How's Lucy?" And
she was in your house recently.
Lucy goes in the house. Lucy sleeps on the front deck. When the rut happened and all the bucks came around, she got up on the front deck, stuck her tongue out at them. They all lined up out there in the yard waiting on her. And, you know, typical woman. She ain't ready. but Lucy's a very famous. Lucy is the star of our YouTube channel. I am just her monkey. I just commentate for her.
So this is a good place to take a break because a lot of people have been waiting here. This young man right here has been here for over an hour. I asked him who he came to see, and he said he wanted to see Jimmy Houston. I know you have an affinity for the young folks. Do you have any questions you want to ask him? Why aren't you doing tournaments this year?
That's a really good question, you know, and it was a hard decision to make not to fish tournaments. I fished national tournaments for 54 straight years, ever since I was a senior in college. And I wanted to fish them and keep fishing them at least one more year to make an even 55. But they put a rule in FLW at the top level, which the tournaments I was fishing. It's also the same rule in BASS. I almost went back to the Bass Elites last year, and I didn't go back there just because of this rule. They put a rule in where you have to practice by yourself during the tournament practice. And my wife and I, Chris, we fished together in tournament practice since we were teenagers. And when the 21 years of Bass and Gal, where she dominated that circuit and won 7 Angler of the Year titles and probably 25 boats, I would practice with her in those tournaments. And they put a rule in where she could not practice with me anymore. And I just felt like it would take the fun out of the tournaments. And to be honest with you, at my age, if I'm going to be doing something, I better be having fun at it. Kind of like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If I'm going to be doing something, I want to be having fun at it. And I felt like if I fished the tournaments and it wasn't fun, I was cheating myself. and so I can be out doing something that was
Great
fun.
question.
Good question.
I always like to ask you, what's the best piece of advice you got? I want you to answer that question for him. What advice do you have him as a young fisherman?
Well, I think that as far as the young guys, and we have a great situation right now in that we have high school bass fishing, we have college bass fishing. The high school bass fishermen can even now go to college on a full ride scholarship and be on the bass fishing team. And a lot of those teams are great teams. Those kids on a college bass fishing team, some of them are fishing out of brand new Ranger boats. They're using brand new rod and reels and brand new tackle boxes and tackle. It's all provided for them. Now they got a rude awakening when they graduate from college. Got to go start buying that stuff on their own. But get involved in these high school bass fishing teams. If your high school doesn't have one, you got to have your dad start one or something. The high school bass fishing teams are the biggest organizations on high school campuses nowadays. They're bigger than the band. They're bigger than the glee club. Bigger than the football team. There are high school bass fishing teams in Texas that have 80 and 100 and 120 kids on a bass fishing team. So that gives you availability to learn a lot. Now, if you want to go ahead and your dream is to become a college bass fisherman, your dream is to become a tournament fisherman as you go on, you need to get a good education. And the things you need to be studying in college is not the history of art or some of that kind of stuff that the kids take nowadays in college. If you go out there and get some of the degrees that they're getting in college now, what you're going to do when you graduate is the first thing you're going to be saying is, would you like fries with that hamburger, sir? I mean, because that's the kind of, that degrees are going to get you that kind of job. You want to get degrees in marketing, degrees in advertising, degrees in speaking, degrees that you can use out there in the everyday world. Because if you're going to get involved and your dream is to become a Roland Martin, a Hank Parker, a Larry Nixon. Larry's here. If your dream is to become those guys, if your dream is to become television guys like we have, if your dream is to become a YouTube star, there's a lot of guys make a lot of money with YouTube channels nowadays. And so if your dream is to do that, you need to learn speaking skills. You need to learn marketing skills. You need to learn social skills to be able to get along with the public. I'll tell you this right here, Roland Martin, who's the greatest tournament fisherman of all time, won 9 Angler of the Year titles. The only guy to ever come close was Kevin Van Dam with 7. My wife won 7 in Bassin Gal. The only 2 fishermen ever to come close to Roland. Obviously, Chris doesn't fish tournaments anymore. She'll win number 8. I'll just go out on a limb and say Kevin Van Dam will never win another Angler of the Year title. So to win 9 Angler of the Year titles, Roland was he's an introvert. He's very nervous around people. He can't talk around people. But he overcame that because of his fishing skills were so good, he knew he had to learn how to get along in the public. So if you're going to start as a youngster, a high schooler, or a college kid, learn that and become use your speaking skills and make them better. Learn good letter writing skills. One of the things that I think that I get so upset with, now our letter writing skills are for the world to see every day. It's called texts and emails, because we don't write letters anymore. But I think text and emails need to be letter perfect. And I think if you want to set yourself apart from other high school kids or college kids, when you send a text or an email, you do that perfectly. You don't, if you're going to say for, it's F-O-U-R or F-O-R, however you used it. You don't put the number 4 up there unless you're talking about, I've caught 4 bass. You can do that. But and your is spelled Y-O-U-R or Y-O-U''RE. It's not Y-U-R. But you read some of these texts, and to be honest with you, I'm not picking on the younger generation. I've read texts from CEOs that's got that crap in there.
Yep.
And don't do that. Do it. You will set yourself apart from everybody else. That's the things you want to learn.
While we're reminiscing, and we got a crowd here, you could give life lessons on all the experiences of all the things that you've done in your life, but it hasn't always been easy. Reminisce a little bit on some of the tough times. What was it like?
Well, if you're going to start and try to make a living at this game, you got to pay the price to get there. It's like looking at the guy that owns the local Ram dealership. and you see him taking vacations all over the world, driving a brand new $60,000 truck and living in $1 million house. You say, wow, the car business must be really good. Well, it is. But that guy has worked his way up from probably selling cars to the fact that he now owns a big Ram dealership. And you got to work your way up in fishing. You have to pay the price. Back when we started tournament fishing, if we didn't get the money in a tournament, we didn't have enough money to get back home. We'd have to cash a check. And when they weren't big, $10,000 checks and $50,000 checks like they are now in tournament fishing, they were $125 checks. And we had to get those checks. And I used to fish local tournaments back in Oklahoma, a Saturday tournament, a Sunday tournament, to try to win $200 or $500 or $1,000 if you won that tournament. And I couldn't afford a hotel room. They were like $6 a night, but I couldn't afford the $6. And so I would go and fish a tournament on Saturday. I would drive 100 or 200 miles to another lake, and I couldn't afford the hotel room, so I would park my truck and my boat on the boat ramp, and I would sleep in my truck. And I didn't have an alarm clock, our watches didn't have, our phones, we didn't have all of that we could set to go off. I would park my truck on the boat ramp, and I knew that when everybody got there to fish the tournament the next morning, I had the boat ramp blocked. Somebody come up here and bang on the window. Jimmy, get your stinking boat or truck off the ramp. So I'd launch my boat and go fish the tournament. And we would go, we'd go all day without eating, not because that we were, and I carried that all the way through my tournament career. Fishing a tournament, I wouldn't eat a bite of anything throughout the day. We had to do that in the early days because we couldn't afford the food. We do it in the later days because it's a waste of time. And you lost a few casts if you're getting a sandwich out and eating a sandwich or a cookie or a pickle or whatever. We do eat in tournament practice now, but we don't eat during it.
No bananas on your boat, though, right?
That bananas is like the craziest superstition in the world. How many of you heard of don't take bananas on your boat? I was talking to one of the younger fishermen the other day. It was last year during one of the FLW tournaments. We're sitting there waiting on takeoff to start. Got all our lights going on our boats and everybody's sitting there ready. And this cat, and he's a really good young fisherman, he breaks out a banana and he's eating it. And I said, hey, dude, I know you're a good fisherman because you're fishing at a pretty high level. You don't know it all. And he said, oh, I know I got lots to learn, Jimmy. I said, you can learn, you can throw that dang apple away or a banana away. And he said, why? I said, don't you know you can't take bananas on a boat? And you know what he told me? He's like 24, 5 years old. He said, I've caught more 30-pound limits with a banana in the boat than I've caught without a banana. I said, you got an extra banana?
So I'm going to
now, first of all, for a 22-year-old kid to say a 30-pound limit, that's a 6-pound average. It's a pretty stout limit.
Yep. So I'm going to give you an opportunity here because I know you got seminars to get to and you probably got a ton of people that want to say hello and visit with you and ask you some great questions like that young man did. I always like to give an opportunity because I can't prepare as I would like for all of these to get to the bottom of things. Is there anything I haven't asked you? Is there anything you'd like to share in a final word?
Well, there's obviously, we could talk about a lot of things. We've been fishing for a long time.
We can talk about your political aspirations, everything else.
Yeah, but we have been blessed in this game. And one of the reasons, I'm 75 years old, and people ask me, why in the world do you work the way you work? Why do you do 100 personal appearances? Why do you do 39 television shows, 500 videos for YouTube? And I owe this game a lot, and I'll try to pay this game back until I die. What we are working on now with our YouTube channel is we're doing it in a lot of different directions. We're trying to tell all the how-to so we can teach people how to fish. We've got our daily devotionals. We're showing our television shows. Actually, the entire 2020 series will be shown every Monday night. Not the whole, all 26 shows, but a show every Monday night all year long. So the entire series will be on there. And that's the thing that we're working on right now is that YouTube channel. And the great thing about YouTube, you can watch it when you want it. You can watch what you want, not what you want to watch, and it's absolutely 100% free. So if you're not on our YouTube channel, subscribe to YouTube, hit that little bell, it'll ding every time we do a video. And so it'll ding it 500 times throughout the year because we do a lot of videos. But this is such a great game to play. It's a great game for the youngsters to get involved in, and it's one of those games also that you can do all your life. Roland Martin is still fishing some tournaments. Gary Yamamoto is older than I am, And Roland, of course, is considerably older than I am.
Yeah, he'll hear about it.
But you can play this game all your life, and that's the great thing about it. I carried a guy fishing here a while back that was 96 years old. We caught 49 bass that day. He had a blast at 96 years old bass fishing. I spoke at his funeral about 6 months later, and it's just one of the biggest thrills that I ever got to do was carry him fishing at 96 years old. And I've got several of my buddies that are younger than I that have promised me they're going to take me fishing. You might want to take me fishing when I'm 96.
I do that any day of the week.
Yeah.
It's been my thrill and privilege. It's been the Renfro production family thrill and privilege to have you be back for a first time in a long time. You got a big session to do. You're going to answer all the major questions. You're going to visit with your fans. You might kiss a fish. Who knows what's going to happen? But you know what? I got to put my shades back on if I'm going to be with my main dog here. I've waited all week to do this. It is our thrill to be with you. We're going to be back next year. You can count on that. Probably from the same stage, probably with the same crowd, hopefully with the same bar. Many of you folks come back and join us next year. It's been a great opportunity to bring you IndySportsShow.com, all the channels. We'll see you guys next year. Great way to end. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Brian.
What is the best way to reach your customers? Have you tried traditional marketing and fallen short? Use video marketing from NKT Productions. It's effective, economical, and it can be used across multiple devices. Capture your customers where they spend their time most, on TV, websites, email, and social media. Don't miss your chance to show the world how great your business is with video marketing. Experience the power of video marketing through NKT Productions. Meet with one of our experienced media agents to learn more.